Hi, I'm Mark from viaAcademies. The other day I received a letter from a student asking, how do I prepare my reeds? Now she's a saxophone player, so we're going to specifically talk about reed prep for single reeds. Let's take a look.
So what is a reed prep process? Well, the reed prep process is the procedure for taking a single reed out of the box and preparing it to be played. Now I mentioned single reeds because we're talking about clarinet and saxophone reeds. We're not talking about oboe and bassoon reeds. Now before we go any further, I should say that a lot of folks don't agree that there's a reed prep process. And in fact, for many players, the reed prep process simply means taking the reed out of the box, wetting it, mounting it on the mouthpiece, and playing. And so to those folks, I say that's great. If that works for you, perfect. Continue to follow that procedure. But I do think there are benefits that we should all be aware of integrating a reed prep process into our routine. Throughout this process, we'll be actually rubbing the reeds, and part of that activity, the goal is to smooth the reed, and ultimately that improves the feel of the reed. I think most of us agree, reeds sometimes don't feel too smooth, and so this process will help smooth the reed and increase the feel of the reed. By all means, all of us want to be able to have a reed that we can wet quickly, but more importantly, we want a reed that actually stays wet and is ready to play. So this process will decrease the wetting time, but I think more importantly for us, it increases this dry out time. So when you're sitting waiting for another section that's rehearsing, or you have a long break in a concert, the reed won't dry out quite as quickly if you follow this procedure. Ultimately, it provides a playing test. So after we've gone through the rubbing process, you'll go through the reeds that you have, and maybe, for instance, you're working on 10 reeds at a time. You'll play test each one of those reeds, give that reed an opportunity to sort of be played on a short period of time, and it gives you an opportunity to do a couple things. The first thing it does is that you can identify the reeds that work best for you. So out of the 10 reeds, you can say, well, these reeds work best. And the flip side is that you can eliminate the reeds that don't work. And so out of a box of 10 reeds, or 2 boxes of 5 reeds, or a box of 25 reeds, you most certainly will have reeds that work, and you have some reeds that don't really work for you. And you can identify them up front and then carry with you only the reeds that work. So from a musician standpoint, I think it increases the awareness of a reed's function. So for beginners, doing this reed process will help them sort of relate to, why am I using a reed and why is it important? And lastly, I think it just, for all of us, it connects us up with our reeds. These are the things that help us play our instrument and are very, very important. To get started, you'll need your reeds, a clean piece of glass, and a bowl to hold water. Take the reeds out of the box and the sleeve and place them in the water. The water shouldn't be cold or hot. Warm is best. Once all the reeds are in the water, just push them down slightly. Now let the reeds soak for about 1 to 3 minutes. Now start to remove the reeds one at a time. Now, one at a time, pick up the reeds and begin rubbing the face of the reed toward the tip with your thumb. The goal is to put a little bit of pressure, but not bend the reed too much. When you get close to the tip, it's a good idea just to go in one direction away from the tip so you don't break the tip. Now flip the reed over and do the back, the bottom end of the reed, which we call the butt of the reed, and also up toward the tip of the back of the reed, doing the same. When you the tip of the reed, make sure just to go in one direction so you don't bend the tip. Lay it down on the glass and flatten it out. And just repeat the process with all of these reeds. Starting on the face, rubbing toward the tip, and when you get to the tip, just go in one direction. When you're finished with the face, you flip the reed over. You do the butt end of the reed, as well as the back side of the reed as well. After you've rubbed all the reeds, I like to flip my reeds over so that the bottom side of the reed is facing up. This keeps them from sticking to the glass and helps them dry. And you'll notice in the procedure list to follow that we'll wait 24 hours and do this whole process again, and we'll let them dry just as you see here, and we'll repeat the process again in another 24 hours. After that time, you can begin the play testing. So let's review the process. First thing, we take them out of the box, take them out of the sleeves, and place them into our bowl of water. The water should be warm, not cold, not hot. After we get done soaking them, we're going to place them back onto our sheet of glass. And then once they're all lined up on the sheet of glass, we're going to start with one reed at a time. We're going to rub the front and the back of the reed. Once you get close to the tip of the reed, make sure to rub just in one direction so that you don't accidentally break the reed. When you're finished, lay them all back on the glass and press them out flat to remove the bubbles. And of course, make sure you do all the reeds. So if you have 10 reeds, do all 10 reeds. If you have 20 reeds, do all 20 reeds. Next, flip them over before they're totally dry. Now, I like to do this step. Some people don't, but I like to do this step because I think it keeps them from sticking to the glass if they were to dry too much. We're going to wait 24 hours, and we're going to do this entire process again. And once they're dry, we'll wait another 24 hours and do the entire process again, so that we do it a total of 3 times.
After you've prepared your reeds, it's time to play test. The process is pretty simple, so we're not going to demonstrate it today, but the idea is to play on the reeds a little bit at a time. The first time you play a reed, you should only play on the reed for a few minutes. Play common things such as scales and arpeggios. Generally, softer dynamics are best. Make sure the reed isn't too hard or too soft. The reeds that work well for you, you can place in one area on your glass, and the reeds that don't work so well, you can place in another area of your glass. Your goal is to identify all the reeds that work well for you and identify the reeds that don't work so well for you.
I hope this video has taught you a lot about the reed preparation process. As always, if you would like more information, visit us at makemusicclick.com. Have a great day.